Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Rose Writes and I write and narrate miraculous Ladybug fan fiction. Thank you so much to Shani Artist on Instagram for their beautiful artwork and my thumbnail. Their links will be in the description box below, so make sure you show them lots of love. They deserve it, they're amazing. Without further ado, please enjoy Ethereal. The Ladybug Miraculous stared at him from his nightstand as a permanent reminder. The tears stung his eyes as he finally let himself feel for the first time in weeks. Maybe a month? Time seemed to blend together. His body shook, racked with sobs as he held himself. He cried and cried until his voice was hoarse. The wound felt fresh. It only took one moment to lose everything. One Akuma attack that went wrong and he couldn't fix it. He only destroyed. His fingers traced the earrings, thinking it'd be so easy to merge the miraculous and make a wish. But the biggest problems in life don't have the simplest solutions. That would put the world at risk. As much as he was hurting, he couldn't do that. The thought continued to cross his mind, though. He sat alone with his thoughts. He closed his eyes and was brought back to that moment. Her blood spilled on the streets of Paris, knocked unconscious by the mercenary villain. They were also a victim of this, but it didn't cost their life. Just Marinette's. The love of his life died in his arms, and it was all his fault. Cat Noir wasn't quick enough. He saw her face looking at him lovingly. Marinette. Ladybug. His Ladybug, and he never got the chance to tell her that he loved her. Kitty, please don't cry. A cheerful voice sounded from behind him, but it couldn't be. No, it's impossible. But still he turned. Marinette! His voice cracked as he choked on his tears once more. She looked the same, but also completely different. A blue glow surrounded her, her pigtails floating above her shoulders, dressed with long strands of red ribbon. A white dress clung tightly to her body. She looked ethereal, unrealistically perfect. Hi, Kitty. It's me. She reached out to him, but her touch felt lighter than a feather, like a breeze leaving his skin cold. He rubbed his eyes. He must be dreaming. You're exhausted. You need sleep. Typical Marinette, still caring for others more than herself. No, m'lady, I can't sleep. Not until Paris is safe. I couldn't save you, but maybe I can save everyone else. He looked down at his gloved hands. It'd been so long since he saw his true self. He lived nearly 24/7 as Cat Noir, only detransforming to feed Plagg. He had to be ready at a moment's notice to jump into action. That meant no sleep and no living as Adrien. Adrien couldn't save anyone, but Cat Noir could. Everyone except Marinette. He felt his heart breaking all over again at the thought. Cat, you need help. You can't do this by yourself. His claws pinched his skin as he balled his fists tighter, trying to hold it together. He couldn't imagine giving the Ladybug Miraculous to anyone else. No one was worthy of it. Marinette would always be Ladybug, and there couldn't be a suitable replacement. Not ever. They had a superhero team, but what if someone else suffered the same fate as Marinette? No, he couldn't ask that of anyone. If I can't save anyone, then what good am I? I'm worthless. He yelled, but the ghost of Marinette didn't recoil at his words. She gazed at him with sorrow and understanding. He broke down, shielding his face from view. I'm sorry, Marinette. So sorry. She took his leather-clad hand in her chilling grasp. It's all right, Kitty. I forgive you. Her voice gently echoed, further reminding him that she wasn't real. No, don't. I don't deserve your forgiveness. He released her hand, standing from his bed to pace back and forth. She followed him, suddenly standing in his way, taking him off guard. It doesn't matter if you think you don't deserve it. I'm forgiving you. Now you need to forgive yourself. Can you do that? She cocked her head to the side, looking innocent with a mischievous glint in her large blue eyes. Please? For me? I'd love to say yes, but I don't know if that's possible. I never even told you that I... He trailed off, looking far out his window that held an ominous and dreary appearance. Told me what? She placed her glowing hand under his chin, pulling his focus back to her. This felt so real, but it was nothing more than a dream or his mind playing tricks on him. But this was a beautiful dream he never wanted to wake from. I never told you that. He paused, taking a breath. I love you. I always have. A pink glow emitted from her impossibly pale cheeks, making her seem almost human. I know. You know? Of course, Kitty. You're not great at hiding your emotions, but that's what I love about you. And I love you too. She took both of his hands, looking lovingly into his eyes. Words that should have been comforting twisted the knife in his heart further. How can you be so kind to me? How can you be so understanding? He averted his gaze from her angelic eyes. He wanted her to be angry. He craved it. He didn't deserve her compassion. Do you know why you couldn't save me? The question caught him off guard. Did he? Yes, of course, he just wasn't fast enough. Still in thought, Marinette continued. You were saving a child from the Senti monster. The villain didn't seem like a threat, so we handled them separately. And the Senti monster threatened a child. You saved her. You're my hero, Cat. That's right. She was lost and couldn't find her parents. He had pulled her out of the way, finding her parents, which left Ladybug alone. By the time he returned, it was already too late. The tears fell harder than they did before. He tried to push the thoughts from him, but they didn't cease. As the last breath in her lungs escaped, her suit melted away, transforming back into her civilian form. He shook his head in earnest, as if the memory would just fall out of his mind, forgotten. But unfortunately, it lived on as a loop, repeating itself continuously. Hey, Marinette said coyly with a smirk placed on her beautiful face. She flicked his bell like she so often did, but the ring barely reached his ears. It's time for you to wake up. I have to go now. You'll be okay, I know you will. Don't blame yourself, Kitty. Please, don't leave, he pleaded, holding her hand to his chest. I have somewhere to be, and so do you, she whispered lightly. She kissed his lips, caressing his face. A chill ran down his spine, sending goosebumps to his flesh. What do you mean? Before she answered, Marinette snapped her fingers. His world went black, and then he caught himself falling while sitting, just a face in a crowd. Where was he, and how had he gotten there? He peered around, seeing helpless faces, not a dry eye to be found. The small cathedral was packed, as if all of Paris was there. Everyone wore their best black, mourning. He looked down, noticing that his cat suit was replaced with an actual suit and a tie. No longer Cat Noir, but Adrien. At the front were a dozen pictures of Marinette and a few of Ladybug, and her casket, pale pink, her favorite color. Her funeral. How did I get here? He desperately thought again. He couldn't quite remember. Life had felt like a blur in the days leading up to this moment. Marinette's father stood at the front, recalling some of his favorite memories of Marinette's childhood, making the congregation laugh as they reminisced together. Then Tom Dupin extended an arm, beckoning Adrien to come forward and say a few words on her behalf. He took a deep breath before standing, then carefully walked to the front. Before taking his place behind the podium, he ran a finger along her closed casket. Oh, Marinette. Why her? Someone so kind and pure. Why couldn't he take the hit himself? Anything so that Marinette could keep living. He felt his lips begin to quiver. He took a moment to compose himself before meeting the eyes of her friends and loved ones. Marinette lived a life that was truly amazing. She was a secret superhero saving all of Paris. No one expected her to be Ladybug, but when the world found out, it made so much sense. Marinette was... He cleared his throat to try again. Marinette is my best friend, and I love her. You know, for a while, I wanted to blame myself. I should have been quicker. I should have paid more attention. I should have fought harder. But when it comes down to it, it's no one's fault except for Hawkmoth. He is an evil we need to purge from the world, and I'm just the cat for the job. His eyes landed on Marinette's resting place once more. I couldn't save Marinette, but I can save all of you. Marinette's legacy of love and heroism will live on through me and through the people he swore to protect. He did it. He made it without crying. As he exited the small stake, he heard scattered applause. Don't applaud me, he thought. I don't deserve it. I did it to honor Marinette. Now everyone knew he was Cat Noir. Good. Maybe this would make it easier to protect them. As he walked to a seat, the previously dark skies seemed to shine, leaving a colorful stream through the stained glass windows. Caught in the light, he saw Marinette smiling. Thank you, Kitty. I love you. Goodbye. She gave a small wave before vanishing. No one had seen her, just him. Marinette, he thought, his eyes filled with tears again. He couldn't hold back. I'm here with you. I'll never really leave you. Adrien moved his head around, seeing no one, but he heard the words clear as day. She was right. Marinette lived on in their hearts and minds. He had to pick up and keep moving for her. He saw her the way he wanted to remember her. She smiled at him, and in that moment, he realized he'd be okay. Thank you so much for listening. I know this was a bit of a darker story, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. If you need some brighter stories to lighten your mood, try these right here. Don't forget to like and subscribe and stay miraculous.